Enter your life now with the strength of one who has never arrived late, with the precision of one who knows every detail of your heart, and with the love of one who has accompanied you since before you took your first breath. I approach while your heart tries to understand why it feels this tightness, this unexpected sensitivity, this mixture of relief and restlessness that grips your chest. None of this is human emotion, my child. This is the sign of my presence touching your spirit, awakening parts of you that were dormant due to weariness, fear, and a struggle that has been too long. I come in now because this is the moment I marked on my eternal calendar, the instant I wrote in the book of your history to reveal what your heart has been silently asking for. I am here, and I ask you to notice the difference this moment makes. It's not just another video, it's not just another message, it's not just another day. It's the day I decided to urgently intervene in your emotional, spiritual, and even physical life. I come to align what was lost, restore what was broken, rekindle what was extinguished, and call by name that which was dormant within you. Feel this gentle weight that envelops you. It is my presence occupying the spaces that were once filled with anguish. It is my spirit breathing within your weary soul. It is my light entering areas that you hid even from yourself. I see everything you carried alone. I see the hours you wished only to sleep without, waking up with the weight of the world on your shoulders. I see when you tried to be strong for others, while inside your soul screamed for help. I saw the times you smiled so as not to worry anyone, while your heart trembled inside. I saw every night you lay down with your mind full of battles that no one understood. I saw and I did not ignore it, and that is why I arrive now, not tomorrow, not later, but now, at this instant, while you listen to my voice. I don't want you to mistake this moment for coincidence. Nothing is random when I move the heavens to reach a single heart. I chose this exact minute to speak to you because you have reached the limit of your strength, but not the limit of my will. What is happening within you now is not weakness, it is spiritual openness. I am tearing veils, breaking down resistance, calming inner storms that you have tried to disguise for too long. I am calling your spirit to rise again, to breathe again, to believe again. I know what you've been feeling for days, weeks, even years. You've carried guilt that was never yours. You've tried to be a support for many without having anyone to support you. You've tried to be a light in your home while a shadow suffocated you inside. My children were not born to live crushed by the weight of life. They were born to walk in my peace, in my strength, in my direction. And that's what I'm giving you now, direction. I enter your life, not just to console you, but to change entire scenarios. I enter not to move you emotionally, but to transform you. I enter not to provide relief for a few minutes, but to rewrite your tomorrow. I need you to understand one thing with all your heart. Everything that brought you here, including the pain, prepared the ground for this encounter. You didn't arrive at this moment by accident. You were guided. You were pushed many times by pain, other times by hope, other times by exhaustion, but you were brought here by my hands. Now that you are here, I tell you, breathe deeply. Let me occupy the space in your soul that has been empty for too long. I am here to restore what was lost within you. Comment here. I open my heart to what the Lord is doing now. I saw what no one else saw. I saw what you silently swallowed so as not to worry anyone. I saw when you fell silent because you no longer had the strength to explain what even you didn't understand. I saw when you retreated into your own heart, trying to find a safe place within yourself because you couldn't find that place anywhere else. You didn't imagine that while you were trying to survive emotionally, I was observing every detail with the tenderness of someone who never abandoned you, not even for a single instant. I saw your hidden tears, the ones you wiped away too quickly so no one would notice. You even tried to hide them. You looked away, smiled half-heartedly, change the subject so no one would notice the weight crushing you inside. But I noticed. I felt the vibration of your soul when it wanted to scream, but you chose to remain silent. And if you've ever wondered if anyone has ever truly seen you, I tell you now, I saw you completely. I saw the times you lay in bed with the light off and your heart ablaze with worries. I saw when the whole world slept, but you stayed awake, trying to understand why the pain wouldn't go away, why life weighed so heavily, why your soul begged for a rest that never came. I saw when you lacked courage. I saw when you lacked support. I saw when you lacked hugs. I saw when you even lacked faith. But I also saw when you got up despite it all. I saw when you did what you could, even exhausted. I saw when you gave your best, even hurt. I saw when you tried to go on, even without understanding anything. I saw what they said behind your back. I saw the injustice you silently endured to avoid arguments. I saw when you were ignored, underestimated, rejected, and misunderstood. I saw when you gave love and received indifference. I saw when you were faithful and were forgotten. I saw when you were true and were called exaggerated. I saw when you tried to build bridges and found walls. I saw when you tried to do everything right, and even so, everything seemed to crumble. I saw every second, every detail, every gesture of yours. I saw your loneliness disguised as a strength. I saw when you smiled so as not to disappoint anyone, even without the strength to smile. I saw when you knelt without words, simply letting your body fall because your soul could no longer bear so much weight. And in that moment, when you thought no one was listening, I was closer than the air around you. I was there, gathering your tears like seeds, keeping each one as a deposit of promise. I saw when you silently asked for help. You thought no one heard, but I heard. I saw when your heart pleaded for a sign, for an answer, for divine affection that would tell you you weren't alone on this difficult journey. I saw when you doubled your strength to remain strong for others, even when weak inside. And now I tell you, it was not in vain. Nothing escaped my notice. I saw when you believed you had failed, but the truth is, I saw a child trying to be brave in a world that tries to break sensitive souls. I saw when you thought I had forgotten you, but at that very moment I was writing the chapter of your turning point. Because your suffering was never ignored, never despised, and never useless. It became part of the construction of your spiritual maturity, part of the strength that is now about to be born within you. I saw your attempts to recover every day, even when wounded. I saw your generosity even when no one reciprocated. I saw your honesty even when the world pushed you towards shortcuts. I saw your faith rising and falling, like a flame that insists on remaining lit despite the winds. That flame is precious to me, and that is why I come now to rekindle it with the strength of my spirit. Besides seeing what you lived through, I saw what you yourself did not see. I saw strength where you saw weakness. I saw courage where you saw despair. I saw life where you saw an end. I saw promise where you saw ruin. I saw a future where you saw closed doors. I saw purpose where you saw chaos. And that is why I brought you here, because now the time has come for me to show you what I have always seen in you, even when you saw nothing. Share this message so that another wounded heart may know that I see it too. He may hear, because while you listen to my voice, something is being released into your life. I didn't bring you to this moment simply to feel emotional, but so that you may receive what I prepared long ago. There are spiritual movements happening right now, movements you don't see with your natural eyes, but which are already changing the environment around you. Stay where you are, because every second of this message is charged with divine intervention. Every breath you take is aligned with what I am doing. I am undoing the weight that has accompanied you for years. While you remain here, I am touching areas of your soul that you tried to ignore, but that still bled within you. I am gathering memories that imprisoned you, erasing voices that diminished you, breaking chains you didn't even know were upon you. When you didn't realize it, when you thought this would be just another ordinary day, I had already decreed upon the heavens that this would be the day of your spiritual transformation. And now, as you listen, that decree begins to manifest. Remain, for there are angels moving in your favor. Doors are being unlocked. Resistance is being removed from your path. Battles are being ended without you having to lift a single finger. The wars that sought to wear you down are losing strength. The voices that confused you are being silenced. I am bringing down accusations, fears, and even thoughts that tried to make you believe you were not worthy of any of this. You are worthy because you are mine and what I am. Doing now does not depend on your strength, but on my will. I want you to realize something very important. You are not here by chance. The fact that you are still here at this moment, breathing, listening, feeling this different presence, is proof that the heavens have opened above you. You were led here so that the transformation could begin from the inside out. I am reorganizing your spirit, adjusting what was misaligned, strengthening what was fragile, calming what was restless. There is a change happening at such deep levels that you will only perceive it with time, but it has already begun now. Do you feel that lightness in your chest? That feeling of relief you can't explain? It's not a human emotion. It's my touch shifting the weight that has accompanied you for so long. You thought the problem was just circumstance, but the problem was how much your soul carried alone. And now, while you remain here, I am removing that burden so that you can walk on a new level of peace. I am touching your spirit to restore what has been crushed by repeated frustrations. I am breathing life where there was dryness. I am rekindling faith where there were ashes. Something is happening right now that cannot be stopped. That is why I tell you, do not be distracted. Do not let your mind wander. Do not let the hustle and bustle of the world steal this moment. You are under a spiritual outpouring that is not common, that does not happen every day, that was prepared especially for you. It is here, in this instant, that many answers you have sought begin to align. It is here that my spirit touches wounds that you have already accepted as part of who you were, but which were actually just marks of past battles. As long as you remain, I am untying knots within your heart. I am clearing areas obscured by emotional weariness. I am removing spiritual density that was tiring you. I am making room for the rest I promised. You don't need to force it. You don't need to try to feel. You don't need to prove anything to me. Just remain. I am doing the work. I am moving the invisibly. I am releasing what was being held back. Pay attention to what I'm telling you now. You will not emerge from this moment the same as when you entered it. A change is being sealed within you. You don't see it, but I do. And everything I've done so far is only the beginning of what I will continue to do in the next parts of this message. Therefore, remain. Your spirit is being strengthened for what is to come. Your soul is being aligned to endure the blessing I am preparing. This is not the end. It is only the first movement of the transformation. Enjoy this moment and sign up to see how in your spirit what I am releasing upon you now. Even before you realized it, even before your heart could formulate words, before you identified the weight you were carrying, I was already moving what needed to change in your life. Nothing started now. Nothing began only the moment you turned to me. The movement was already underway, silent, constant, precise. While you thought you were standing still, I was moving forward for you. While you felt that everything was stagnant, I was building paths that your eyes could not yet see. I have always worked before your request. There are situations that you believe only began when you cried out, but your cry only brought light to what I had already started. When you sighed for help, I had already sent assistance. When your soul pleaded for direction, I had already charted the course. When your heart cried out for answers, I had already arranged the stage for them to arrive. You live bound by time, I do not. I move the eternal and place before you what was prepared long before you understood the need. I know that, in your eyes, many things seemed to take too long. They seemed stuck, blocked, lifeless. It seemed that no one was listening to you, that no door was moving, that nothing was working in your favor. But you only saw the surface. Behind the veil, I was moving pieces, bringing the right people closer, distancing people who would harm you, redirecting situations that could delay you. Nothing was standing still. The silence that you interpreted as abandonment was actually the most intense moment of spiritual work in your favor. I marvel in secret. I work where no one sees. I act while you rest, while you are confused, while you doubt, while you believe that nothing is happening. Many of your greatest victories were decided in moments when you felt weakest, and you didn't even realize that. On the days when you only wanted to give up, I was protecting you from enemies you didn't even know existed. I guarded your mind, held your soul, prevented you from falling into traps, delivered you from espiritual, emotional, and even physical accidents. There are movements you haven't yet noticed, but they are already changing the course of your life. Situations that seemed like endings are becoming beginnings. People you thought had forgotten, you are being touched by my spirit to seek you out. Opportunities that had been closed are being revisited. Doors you never imagined will open without your effort, because they are doors I myself chose to unlock. You will not open these doors, you will only pass through them. The work is mine. I have also begun to stir within you. There are healings that have already begun, even if you still feel pain. There are burdens that have already been removed, even if you still feel tired. There is clarity that has already been brought to your mind, even if you still feel confused. Everything I initiate in secret first appears as a sensation. That is why you have felt changes within you, even without being able to explain them. It is the invisible movement taking shape. I am removing from within you that which no longer belongs to you. I am cleansing thoughts that were planted by old wounds. I am closing cycles that your mind tried to keep open out of fear. I am releasing your hands from situations that you tried to control, but which were never yours to hold. What you feel now is a spiritual adjustment. Your soul is being repositioned for a time you have never lived before, and that is why everything seems strange, as if it were out of place. But I tell you, nothing is out of place. Everything is exactly where I placed it. The movement began when you were still at the bottom of the valley. It began when you cried that night when no one saw you. It began when you thought no one cared. It began when you spoke softly, asking only for a strength to continue. That request, even weak, even whispered, pierced the sky like a shout. And at that instant, I said, now I move. Now I advance. Now I prepare. Now I transform. And today you are here, not so that something may begin, but so that I may reveal to you what is already happening. You are not waiting to move it. You are already within it. Everything I have set in motion will continue, because you have finally opened your eyes to realize that you are not alone. I am with you. And when I move, nothing can remain as it was. I am now touching the most weary place within you, that hidden spot where you kept pains that no one noticed. You tried to be strong for so long that you forgot what it's like to feel lightness. You forgot what it's like to breathe without fear, without rushing, without the constant feeling that something will go wrong. Your soul carried burdens that weren't born with you, burdens that came from words, rejections, responsibilities, and expectations that you never asked to carry. But at this moment, as you listen to my voice, that weight begins to loosen from you, like chains that weaken and fall to the ground. I know exactly where it hurts. I know where the anxiety accumulated. I know where the sadness took root. I know where the painful memories were kept like scars that still bleed when touched. I know where your heart broke and where you tried to glue the pieces back together alone. I know where you felt too small, too guilty, too insufficient. And that's why I'm touching you now, because nothing that hurt you escapes my eyes, and nothing that weighed you down will remain after this moment. Your mind has carried on battles that have lasted too long. You've tried to solve everything, understand everything, anticipate everything, control everything, and it has drained you from the inside. You've lived as if you need to be constantly alert, as if the whole world would crumble if you rested for a second. And I tell you now, you don't need to continue like this. Rest your heart in mine. I am taking over. What was consuming you? I am touching the areas where worry has taken over, and I am expelling from it all the fear that has silently accompanied you. Your soul grew weary of trying to be strong when the truth is you needed support, and I am here to do that. I take your hands and remove, one by one, the burdens that have left you emotionally exhausted. If you feel your chest lighter, even without understanding why, it's because I am removing what you've been hiding, even from yourself. I am taking away the weight of guilt that was never yours, the weight of excessive responsibility, the weight of carrying people who should have walked on their own 2 feet, the weight of blaming yourself for situations you didn't create and couldn't have avoided. Listen to what I tell you. Your spirit is breathing again. You weren't broken, you were suffocating. The soul you believed to be weak was merely burdened by tensions accumulated over years. And now, as I breathe upon you, those tensions begin to dissolve. The inner knots that tightened your chest loosen. The feeling of tightness, of deep anguish, begins to disappear. The light that enters you now is the beginning of the rest. I promised. You were fighting against thoughts that weren't yours, thoughts that came like sudden storms, that robbed you of sleep, that stole your peace, that made you fear the future or feel ashamed of the past. But I am clearing your mind now. I am dissipating this fog that confused you. I am bringing clarity where there was chaos. I am bringing peace where there was torment. I am calming that place within you that always seemed restless, always seemed insecure, always seemed about to crumble. Your soul is now finding its rhythm with mine, not the rhythm of the world, not the rhythm of pressure, not the rhythm of others' expectations, but the rhythm of my peace. And my peace is not the absence of problems, it is the presence of my voice within your heart. It is the presence of my hand upon your life. It is the silent certainty that I am with you, even when nothing makes sense to your eyes. Feel this relief that begins to expand within you. It is the beginning of healing. The weight didn't fall all at once, but it has begun to fall. It has begun to loosen. It has begun to lose strength. And what begins in the spirit manifests in life. This process will no longer be interrupted because I have begun it. And what I begin, I finish. You will not emerge from this journey the same. I am transforming your soul from within, and when the soul changes, everything around it also changes. Comment on 7.777 as a prophetic sign that the burden is falling and peace is coming. What you asked for is on its way. It doesn't matter if you thought your prayer was too small, too weak, or too late. I heard every word, every tear, every silent thought you sent to heaven when you no longer had a voice to pray. Nothing that came from your heart went unnoticed by me. And now, as I speak to you, I confirm, the answer has already been released. It is coming towards you as something inevitable, irresistible, unstoppable. The time of waiting was not wasted, it was preparation. I saw when you knelt down asking for something you couldn't even properly explain. I saw when you repeated the same words because you didn't know what else to say. I saw when you grew tired of asking and thought I wasn't listening, but I was there, present in every cry, attentive to every detail, sensitive to every pain you surrendered. Everything you sincerely asked for, even amidst tears, has already been recorded on my throne. And I tell you now, what you asked for was not denied, nor forgotten, nor ignored. It was simply maturing. Your answer is not lost. It is in motion. You don't see it because it is traversing dimensions you don't perceive. Angels have been sent with what belongs to you. Things that were trapped have been unlocked. Hearts that needed to be touched have been visited. Doors that were closed have begun to prepare to open. Your answer is drawing near, and nothing can stop what I have determined. Not human resistance, nor spiritual, nor emotional, nor circumstantial. When I decided to release, the impossible bends. You thought the silence meant nothing was happening, but in heaven, silence is often the sound of something great being organized. While you waited, I aligned people, adjusted paths, moved situations, changed directions, suspended attacks, disarmed the enemy, protected things you didn't even know were at risk. While you waited, I built something greater than you imagined. Because you asked for relief, but I prepared transformation. You asked for a door, but I prepared a crossing. You asked for an answer, but I prepared a picture. I know the exact moment your soul broke down crying out for help, and it was that moment that opened something in heaven. There are cries that break through spiritual walls, and yours was one of them. Your request was not just any sound, it was a spiritual decree that I myself honored. And now, as you listen to my voice, the fulfillment of that answer has already begun. You haven't seen it yet because it's approaching in layers. First it touches the spirit, then the soul, then it manifests in your physical life. The process began in the invisible, but it will not remain hidden for long. I tell you that there are signs arriving before the complete answer. Small movements, small encounters, small openings, small alignments that you will begin to notice in the coming days. These signs are not coincidences. They are warnings from heaven saying, "It is coming. Do not despair if you have not yet seen anything grand." The seed moves before the tree appears, the wind changes before the rain falls, and the spiritual atmosphere has already changed around you. Your answer is coming with force, with precision, and with purpose. It will not come halfway, it will not come incomplete, it will not come fragile, it will come whole, firm, and bearing my signature. It will come as proof of how much I love you, how much I see you, how much I care for you. It will come in the exact way you need it, not in the way you imagined. And when it arrives, you will understand why I made you wait. Because your waiting created space for something greater to manifest. Prepare your heart, because what you asked for will come accompanied by things you never even thought to ask for. I am a God of abundance, not a God of leftovers. I respond with fullness, not with crumbs. If you knew the magnitude of what is coming, your heart would be leaping within you right now. But I am hiding some parts to preserve your faith and keep you dependent on me. What you have felt in the last few minutes is not emotion, it is confirmation. Your answer is on its way. Nothing and no one can stop what has already been released. Your spirit already knows it, your soul is beginning to perceive it, and your life will soon bear witness to it. Share this message with someone who also needs to know that their answer is already on its way. Victory has already been decreed over your life. Even before you entered this battle, before you felt its weight, before your eyes saw any sign of war, I had already decided the outcome. You are not fighting to win. You are simply walking within a victory that I myself established on my throne. Nothing that has risen against you has the power to alter the decision I have already made. You are not at the mercy of chance, nor injustice, nor the wickedness of anyone. You are under a celestial decree that bears my seal, and what I seal, no one can break. I saw when the enemy tried to confuse you, making you believe you were losing ground, when in truth, it was he who was losing strength. I saw when you felt small in the face of circumstances, but the truth is that the circumstances had already bent before my authority. I saw when you thought you were surrounded, but what you didn't see was the army I placed around you, angels positioned to protect every area you believed to be threatened. You saw the surface of the war, but I saw its root, its origin, its end, and the end of this war was decided in your favor. You have lived through battles that seem endless, and many times you believed the enemy was advancing because you were tired. But let me reveal something profound to you. The weariness of your soul does not define the outcome of the battle. Your strength does not sustain victory. I do, I decide, I decree. And I have already decreed. You do not lose when you are tired. You would only lose if I changed the decree, and I do not change it. I am the same yesterday, today, and forever. What I have determined for you remains firm, even on the days when you feel too weak to believe. There is a sentence written in heaven with your name, and it is not a sentence of defeat. It is not a sentence of shame. It is not a sentence of loss. It is a sentence of victory. When you rose to fight, you were not starting a war. You were merely entering the visible part of something that was already finished in the spiritual realm. The enemy fought with you not because he had a chance to win, but because he knew he was wasting his time. He tried to wear you down, tire you, confuse you, make you doubt what I said. But at no point did he have real authority over your life. He made a noise, but he wasn't allowed. He tried to intimidate you, but he didn't have access. He tried to touch you, but he couldn't hurt you. Beyond what I allowed, and what I allowed was only to strengthen you. You need to understand something that will change your heart. The war you see is only a shadow of the war I have already ended. In the spiritual world, the chains have already been broken. The walls have already been torn down. The attacks have already lost their effect. The opposing plans have already been annulled. It may even seem that some things are taking longer to change around you, but that is only natural time processing what is already completed in heaven. When victory is decreed on my throne, it becomes inevitably in your life. I know you have struggled in areas where everything seems difficult, where nothing seems to move, where you feel worn down by attempts and frustrations. But pay attention to what I am going to tell you. You are not fighting alone, and you are not fighting unarmed. I have given you authority. I have given you protection. I have given you grace. I have given you shelter. And now I give you a revelation. The battle does not belong to you. The battle belongs to me. And if the battle is mine, the result is mine. And if the result is mine, it is victory. You are part of my victory, not by merit, but by sonship. My child does not fight to try to survive. My child fights already sustained by my word. I didn't let you into this war to destroy you. I let you in to promote you. What you thought was an attack was merely a path to elevation. What you thought was a setback was merely alignment. What you thought was a loss was merely an exchange. I took away what hurt you to put in place what will strengthen you. The war was just the process. Victory is destiny. And that is what you are about to experience. The destiny I wrote, not the chaos you faced. Now I want you to receive this truth with your awakened spirit. No matter what you are seeing, victory is already written. No matter what they told you, victory is already decreed. No matter what they tried against you, victory is already sealed. Nothing can reverse what I have determined. You are about to live days when you will look back and realize that everything that seemed like war was just a path to greater glory. Enjoy this moment and sign up to seal in your spirit the victory I have already decreed over your life. You need to understand something that will forever change how you encounter the battles in your life. You don't fight to conquer victory, you fight from within it. Victory is not a distant possibility. It's not something you need to achieve through human effort, nor is it an uncertain outcome that depends on what you manage to do. Victory is the point from which you begin. It is the spiritual foundation upon which you stand. When you face something, you don't face it to try to win. You face it already sustained by the victory that I decreed even before the beginning of your war. Your soul has become accustomed to believing that everything is achieved through suffering, hardship, and sacrifice. But this reflects the wounds you have carried for a long time, not divine truth. The truth is that I place you in battles I have already decided. And when I decide, there is no turning back. There is no opposing plan capable of breaking what I have established. You are not a defenseless soldier trying to survive. You are a child walking within what I have already finalized on my throne. Your struggle is not to try to change the ending. Your struggle is to remain steadfast until the ending I have written manifests itself. Your eyes show you adversity, but my spirit shows you destiny. You look and see mountains. I look and see an open path. You look and see a storm. I look and see the wind being used to push you forward. You look and see enemies. I look and see enemies being used to reveal the strength I have placed within you. If you understood that, nothing around you has the authority to change what I have determined, you would walk with much more rest, much more peace, and much more confidence. I want you to realize that your struggle is laden with an old lie, that you need to prove something to me or to the world. But I don't put you in battles to prove who you are. I put you in them to reveal who I am through you. You are not defined by what you face. You are defined by what I have already given you. Your identity is not in how you react, but in who sustains you. And I sustain you with eternal victory, not with human expectations. When you face something, you don't face it alone. You enter each battle accompanied by my presence, my authority, my word, and my decision. I walk before you. I cover you from behind. I guard you from the sides, and I carry you within. You are not an isolated fortress trying to resist. You are part of a kingdom that never loses, and that changes everything. It changes the way you breathe. It changes the way you pray. It changes the way you encounter problems. It changes the way you encounter yourself. I want you to learn to differentiate between two ways of fighting. Fighting with fear and fighting with conviction. Those who fight with fear act as if they are trying to avoid defeat. Those who fight with conviction act as if they already know the outcome. And I want you to live like this, with the conviction that nothing can break what I have already written about you. What I have said remains. What I have promised does not return empty. What I have prepared, no one can take away. What I have released, no one can close. What I have decided, no one can undo. Your spirit knows this truth, but your soul is still adjusting to it. Your soul has been trained by the world to expect loss, distrust, instability. But your spirit was born to trust, to rest, and to stand firm in my voice. I am realigning your soul with your spirit now. I am removing layers of fear that you have normalized, layers of worry that you have carried as if they were your responsibilities, layers of insecurity that you believed were part of your personality. They are not. They are consequences of old wounds. And now I am healing what you believed was part of who you were. You no longer need to wonder if you will win. That question no longer makes sense in heaven. The right question is, will you trust in what I have already decided? Because when you trust, anxiety falls, fear subsides, despair disappears. You begin to walk with your head held high, not because you have strength, but because you have certainty. The certainty that I am in everything. The certainty that I am greater than everything. The certainty that victory is yours, because victory is mine. From now on, you will fight differently, not as someone who fears losing, but as someone who knows they have already won. And this change is not emotional, it is spiritual. I am repositioning you so that you live from victory and not trying to achieve it. I am adjusting your vision, your spirit, your posture, because what is coming will require you to walk with confidence, not with fear. You don't fight for victory, you fight from the point of victory, and that changes absolutely everything. Take a spiritual stand today, not tomorrow, not when everything is clearer, not when you feel stronger. The position I call you to assume now does not depend on what you feel, it depends on what I have decreed for you. There are times when the soul needs to be guided, and this is one of. I call you to rise up from within, It is not a physical rising, it is a spiritual rising, where you decide to align your heart with the truth that I am placing before you. Your spiritual posture is a key that opens doors your human strength could never open. When you position yourself as someone who has already won, your mind changes, your words change, your environment changes. You begin to realize that many of the battles surrounding you were feeding on your insecurity, not your weakness. The enemy never had the power to defeat you. He only tried to convince your soul to believe lies. And now I am calling your soul back to its place, the place of rest, the place of firmness, the place of trust. I want you to leave behind the attitude of someone who expects the worst, someone who lives as if every step were dangerous, as if every new phase were a threat, as if every silence were abandonment. This doesn't come from me. It was born from the wounds that hurt you, the traumas you kept inside, the words that diminished you, and the experiences that tried to mold your vision. But I tell you now, you are not what you have lived. You are what I have decreed. You are my son, my daughter, chosen, loved, carried by my hand. And the one I carry does not walk hunched over, but walks securely. Your spiritual position begins within. When you wake up, when you breathe, when you talk to yourself, when you look to your future, you need to see yourself as someone who is already being led by my victory, and not as someone trying to survive the chaos. You are not surviving, you are being transformed. Your story is not slipping out of control, it is being aligned. Everything that seemed out of place is being put back in place, and you will only be able to perceive this if you assume the correct posture now. I want you to learn to speak like someone who trusts, not like someone who fears. Words create atmospheres. Words reveal positions. When you speak of your life as someone defeated, your soul clings to what you declare. When you speak as someone who has faith, your soul rises and your spirit is strengthened. And I am calling you to this place, the place where you speak what I say and not what your pain screams. You were wounded, I know, but you didn't stay down. You got up so many times that you didn't even realize you're already stronger than you. Imagine. Take a spiritual stand by remembering who sustains you. You are not alone. You are not walking on your own. You are not trying to win with your own hands. Your hands have limits, but mine do not. Your vision sees little, but mine sees everything. Your strength ends. Mine never ends. When you understand this, you realize that you don't need to fight like someone desperate. You can fight like someone who already knows that the end is favorable. The right spiritual posture is the one you adopt, even when the situation hasn't changed. When you say to your soul, I have already won, because God has already won for me. When you look at the situation that tries to intimidate you and respond with faith, not fear. When you decide that your hope will not be shaped by what your eyes see, but by what my spirit confirms within you, you no longer need to run away from what scares you. You only need to remember who is with you. I am calling you today to assume the position of someone who does not fear the future. You have lived as one who always expects another struggle, another disappointment, another burden. But I tell you, there will be days of lightness, days of joy, days of rest, days of peace. But to live them, you need to change the way you approach life. You need to believe that good will not only reach you, but is already on its way. You need to believe that I did not bring you here to see you fall, but to see you flourish. Your spiritual position defines your atmosphere. If you place yourself in faith, your home changes. If you place yourself in trust, your mind changes. If you place yourself in hope, your emotions change. I am lifting you up from within so that you may live outwardly what I am doing. Now, decide within yourself. I assume the posture of victory that is already mine. Enjoy this moment as an act of agreement with the spiritual posture that I am awakening in you. You are my beloved child, and I need this truth to sink deep into your spirit, because many of the battles you have faced stemmed from doubt about who you truly are. The World tried to convince you that you were small, insufficient, inadequate, easily replaceable. People made you believe that you needed to deserve love, deserve care, deserve attention. Some even made you think you were a burden, an excess, a problem. But none of these voices speak the truth. The only voice that defines your identity is mine. And I tell you now, you are mine, you are desired, you are loved from the beginning. Before any pain entered your story, I had already written your worth. Before any rejection touched you, I had already chosen you. Before anyone diminished you, I had already called you by name. You were seen by me before you were seen by the world. And when I saw you, I loved you. Not for performance, not for appearance, not for strength, not for conquest. I loved you because you carry within you the breath of my life. You are the work of my hands, the image of my essence, the expression of my heart. Nothing the world did changed that. Nothing you lived erased that. I know you carry the scars of words that hurt you. I know you grew up hearing that you weren't enough, that you weren't capable, that you would never amount to anything. I know you got used to believing that others were always worth more than you. And I know you tried to be strong, to hide how much those lies affected your soul. But I am here to tear them all away. You are not what they said about you. You are not what they made you believe. You are not your pain. You are not your past. You are my beloved child, and it is from this that your true life begins. When you look in the mirror, you see flaws I don't see. You see defects I never put there. You judge yourself harshly for things I've already forgiven. You blame yourself for situations that weren't your responsibility. You punish yourself for mistakes I've already gracefully covered. You've become accustomed to living like someone who needs to prove their worth. But I tell you now, you don't need to prove anything. You don't need to fight for what is already yours. You don't need to beg for love that already belongs to you. The love with which I love you doesn't increase when you succeed and doesn't decrease when you fail. It remains. You are my beloved child in pain and in joy, in falling and in starting over, in fragility and in strength. I never stop loving you when you feel lost. I don't abandon you when you are confused. I don't withdraw my hand when you fail. I sustain you. I lift you up. I restore you. Even when you gave up on yourself, I never gave up. I remained with you through every phase you went through, including those you are ashamed to remember. And now I come to heal every part that life broke. You have tried to understand your purpose as if it depended on what you can do, but your purpose is born from who you are, and you are a child of God. That changes everything. That is why you survive what many could not endure. That is why your soul, even weary, still holds a spark of hope. That is why, despite so much pain, you still have spiritual sensitivity. The identity I placed in you is greater than any trauma they tried to inflict upon you. You were created to carry light, not to live in darkness. I want you to receive this truth within you. You are loved unconditionally. There is no shame, no failure, no mistake that has the power to erase this love. It is rooted in your existence. It is what sustains your life, even when you don't realize it. I love you with a love that heals, that restores, that transforms, that gives meaning. And I tell you this, now not just to comfort you, but to rewrite your identity. You will live from this truth. You will think, speak, and walk from it. You are my beloved child. Nothing will change that. Nothing will diminish that. Nothing will threaten that. And when that truth becomes alive within you, the weight of rejection will fall, insecurity will disappear, and your soul will find rest in the place that has always belonged to it, in my arms. Share this truth so that another heart may also remember that it is deeply loved by me. I have given you spiritual authority, and today I remind you of this because you have lived as someone who needs to beg for protection, when in truth you were created to rule. The authority I placed in you does not come in from your strength, nor from what you have lived, but from my presence. You carry within you a power that the enemy has always feared, and that is why he has tried so many times to convince you that you were weak. He did not attack your strength, he attacked your perception, because if you perceived who you truly are, he would completely lose access to your mind. I have given you the authority to face what frightens you, authority to break spiritual cycles that have tried to bind you for years, authority to expel what does not come from me, to close doors that should never have been opened, to undo chains that have tried to hold you back. You are not a victim of circumstances. You are someone clothed in power. When you rise up in spirit, the heavens respond to your movement. When you declare with faith, environments change around you. Your word has weight because it carries the breath of my voice. When you aligned yourself with me, you became someone who decrees, who orders, who establishes. You didn't realize this because you were wounded so many times that you began to believe your role was only to resist. But I didn't call you to survive. I called you to govern. One who doesn't suffer attacks doesn't govern. One who possesses the authority to face them without losing their identity governs. I have given you the authority to understand that you are not alone in your battles. I walk before you, I cover your steps, I sustain your soul. You don't need to live expecting the worst, like someone who fears the world will collapse at any moment. The authority I have placed in you gives you stability. You can walk without fear, speak without trembling, pray without insecurity. You have spiritual rights because you are mine. This doesn't change when you fail, when you fall, or when you feel weak. I do not take away the authority of those I love, I strengthen them. I have given you the authority to establish order where chaos tried to dwell. You carry enough light to dispel confusion, enough hope to restore environments, enough peace to stabilize your own soul. The enemy knows this, and that is why he tried to stifle your voice. But your voice remains. It has not been silenced. It simply needs to be reminded of the power it has received. When you open your mouth in alignment with my spirit, you do not speak alone. I speak with you. I speak through you. You don't need to wait to feel strong to use the authority I have given you. It doesn't depend on what you feel. It depends on who I am, and I remain. God, in all your days, in the good and the bad. Therefore, be aware of this. You have the authority to rebuke thoughts that hurt you, to ward off spiritual attacks, to protect your home, to raise your own walls of faith. Nothing that has confronted you has more weight than what I have placed within you. Walk knowing that you are clothed. Speak knowing that your voice has impact. Pray knowing that your prayer moves heaven. Rise knowing that you are a child, and children carry authority because they carry the Father's inheritance. Sign up here to continue walking within the authority that I myself have placed over your life. I am restoring your inner light, that light that didn't come from your face, nor from your achievements, nor from your words, but from your spirit. The light that was born within you when I created you. The light that the world tried to extinguish, the light that you yourself thought you had lost throughout the struggles, frustrations, and pain you went through. I come in now to touch precisely that point, that place where you thought it was empty, extinguished, lifeless. It wasn't. It was only hidden under layers of weariness, fear, and sadness that don't belong to your essence. I see the light that I myself placed within you, even when you can no longer see it. I see the strength you forgot you possessed. I see the sensitivity that has been silenced by the wounds that tried to harden you. I see the hope that slowly faded as you tried to survive what seemed unbearable. But today, I come to breathe that light again. I come to rekindle within you what you believed to be lost. Nothing that I placed within you disappears. It may lie dormant, it may be stifled, it may be wounded, but it never vanishes. There were times when you felt empty inside, as if something had been ripped away from you. There were days when you looked in the mirror and no longer recognized the person you once were. There were phases when you spent your time trying to remember where you left your joy, your courage, your identity. And no matter how hard you tried, it seemed like everything was too far away to recover. But I was there. I saw each of those phases. I was with you on the nights you cried without knowing exactly why. I heard your silent thoughts, asking only to feel what you felt before again. I know where your light was wounded. I know where your innocence was broken. I know where your hope grew weary. I know where your soul began to fade little by little. I know where you stopped believing in yourself. I know where you began to live in defensive mode, always expecting another blow, another disappointment, another abandonment. And that is precisely why I come today to restore what was lost within you, because you were not created to live hidden within your own heart, nor to live erasing yourself to fit into the spaces that rejected you. I am gently removing layers that you have accumulated without realizing it, layers of stored sadness, layers of deep discouragement, layers of emotional exhaustion, layers of harsh words that you heard and accepted as truth, layers of comparisons that hurt you, layers of doubts that did not originate from you, but were planted by situations that made you question your own worth. I am removing all of this, layer by layer, so that your light may breathe again. There are parts of you that you yourself judged as flaws, when in truth they were sensitive parts that were merely wounded. You thought you were weak, but you were only tired. You thought you were cold, but you were only protecting yourself. You thought you were dull, but you were only carrying too much weight. None of that was your identity. Your identity is in me, and in me you shine. In him you have life, color, depth, sensitivity, strength. I am clearing your vision so that you may see yourself truly again. As one restores your inner light, something begins to happen in your spirit. You reconnect with yourself. You begin to remember what you enjoyed before the pain. You begin to remember how you were when your heart was light. You begin to feel the desire to live again, not just survive. You begin to feel that something is being reborn within you, something subtle but real. It is the beginning of restoration. It is the light returning to occupy the space that darkness convinced you would never be illuminated again. The radiance I return today is not the superficial glow the world values. It's not appearance. It's not artificial strength. It's not a forced smile. It's the radiance of essence. It's the radiance of someone who knows they are loved. It's the radiance of someone who knows they haven't been forgotten. It's the radiance of someone who breathes hope. It's the radiance of someone who feels peace again. It's a radiance that is born from within and illuminates everything around it. It's a radiance that cannot be stolen, because it doesn't depend on circumstances, but on my presence within you. You will not emerge from this moment unchanged, even if you don't fully. Realize it now. Your soul already feels the touch of restoration. Your light will no longer be fragile as before. It will come strong, clean, constant. I am restoring your inner glow so that you remember who you are, so that you walk with dignity, so that you feel alive again, so that your soul can breathe without fear, so that everything within you can flourish again. I am restoring your shine, and no one will be able to extinguish it again. I allowed the fire not to destroy you, but to purify you. You went through moments that burned in your soul, situations that drained your strength, losses that seemed unfair, ruptures that left you without a foundation. You looked at all of that and asked why I allowed such intensity upon you. But today I tell you, the fire did not come to consume who you were. It came to consume what was preventing you from being who I called you to be. The fiery, exposed chains you didn't even know you carried. It revealed dependencies that weakened you, relationships that diminished you, habits that stole your essence, fears that silently controlled your life. I didn't leave you alone in any of these processes. I walked with you through the heat. I sustained you when your soul cried out. I protected you when you thought you couldn't bear it. The fire wounded you, but it didn't destroy you. It came to remove what wasn't yours, to cleanse what imprisoned you, to take away what didn't fit the future I prepared. You lamented losses that were, in truth, deliverances. You wept over situations that, had they remained, would have paralyzed you. You grieved over closed doors that would have diverted you from your purpose. The fire was not punishment, it was care. The more you resisted, the more painful it seemed. But when you surrendered to the process, I began to extract from within you the gold that was hidden beneath layers of fear and weariness. You are stronger today, not because you were wounded, but because you were refined. No flame that touched your life passed without purpose. Every tear shed watered a part of your maturity. Every difficult night broadened your discernment. Every fall taught you about the power of getting up. I allowed the fire because I prepared you to carry more light, more authority, more depth. Now you stand on firm ground because everything that weighed you down has been burned away. What remains is puri, is true, is yours. Comment here, I am being purified, as a prophetic act from someone who understands that the fire has prepared you for the next level. I never took my eyes off you, not on the days your soul crumbled, not on the nights you cried silently, not in the moments when you believed no one saw your pain. Even when your strength ran out, I remained there, steadfast, attentive, watching every detail of your journey. You thought you were alone, but the truth is that no step you took went unnoticed. I saw when you tried to smile to hide what hurt. I saw when your heart trembled with fear of not being able to bear it. I saw when you kept walking, even when you were too tired to continue. I protected your mind when heavy thoughts tried to overwhelm you. I sustained your spirit when circumstances tried to break it. I set limits on the fire so that it wouldn't consume you beyond what was necessary. I guarded you from falls that would have destroyed your faith. I silenced attacks you didn't even realize. What seemed like abandonment to you was, in fact, the moment when I held you closest to my heart. Your pain was never ignored. Your fragility was never a reason for distance. I accompanied you closely, even when you thought I was distant. When you felt everything was dark, I was watching your every step to make sure you didn't stumble. When you felt you had lost control, I held what you could no longer sustain. When you believed you had failed, I looked at you with mercy, seeing not your fall, but your courage to continue. You never left my sight, never escaped my grasp, never were too far for me to reach you. I saw you whole, including the parts you hid from the world. I was with you when you didn't understand anything. I was with you when you wondered why so much struggle. I was with you when you couldn't find an explanation for the pain. And even then, you continued. Even wounded, you moved forward. Even tired, you didn't give up. And I honor that. I honor your effort, your dedication, your persistence. Today I tell you, I never took my eyes off you because I always knew who you would become after all this. You are stronger than you believe, more precious than you imagine, and more protected than you realize. Enjoy this moment as a sign that you recognize the constant care I have always had for you. The cycle of refinement has ended. That which weighed on your soul for so long, that which brought you face to face with yourself, that which burned away what was heavy and preserved what was essential, has finally fulfilled the purpose for which it was allowed. You went through days that seemed endless, nights that weighed more than you could bear, phases that made you question your strength, your identity, and even your destiny. But I saw it all. I saw when your shoulders trembled weakly. I saw when your heart begged for just a break. I saw when your mind struggled not to sink. I was there every moment, and today, I come to today tell you it's over. Refinement was never about punishing you. It was about preparing you. It was about tearing away what limited you. exposing what still needed to be addressed, strengthening what was fragile, and illuminating areas within you that you avoided for fear of feeling again. You faced old memories that returned like fire. You went through losses that seemed unfair. You endured silences that hurt more than words, but none of this came to destroy who you were. The fire wasn't against you, it was for you. It burned away what no longer served you. It broke the ties that bound you. It opened space for a new phase that you couldn't live carrying everything you carried before. Now, in spirit, I close this door, and when I close it, no one opens it. The pains that haunted you no longer reach you with the same intensity. The wounds that still bled begin to heal completely. The patterns that repeated themselves like an endless cycle have been broken. Situations that always returned, as if trying to imprison you in a tired past, will not be allowed to return. You are no longer trapped in the place where you were. The phase that shaped you is no longer the phase that defines you. You will notice profound changes in the coming days. Things that previously affected you immediately will begin to lose their power. People who drained your energy will naturally distance themselves. Thoughts that destabilized you will begin to lose intensity. The fire has purified your perception. It has cleared your eyes to see what you couldn't see before. It has sharpened your discernment, making you understand who was truly with you and who was merely occupying space in your story. The refinement has taught you to manage your heart with greater wisdom. And now, because this cycle has ended, I place you in a new position, a lighter position, a more mature position, a deeper position. The density surrounding you is dissipating. The feeling of surviving is being replaced by the feeling of living. Your soul was tired, but now it begins to breathe again. You were used to walking with the weight of the past, but now that weight has been removed. You no longer have the obligation to carry old versions of yourself. I untie you from who you were during the pain to allow you to be who you become after it. Refinement also revealed your true strength, not the strength that impresses, but the strength that sustains, not the strength that shouts, but the strength that remains. You went through what many could not endure. You withstood internal battles that no one saw. You kept walking when your soul only wanted to stop. And I honor that. Now that this stage is over, you will realize that what would have brought you down in the past no longer does. The fire gave you structure. It purified your character, honed your sensitivity, amplified your capacity to endure, and prepared you to receive what lies ahead. Nothing that hurt you in this cycle will accompany you into the next. I close what needs to be closed. I burn what needs to be burned. I cleanse what needs to be cleansed, and what remains is what I myself planted within you. You will not relive the same pains. You will not return to the same patterns. You will not repeat the same cycles. What imprisoned you has lost its authority. The process is over. The preparation is complete. Now a new season begins, a season of lightness, clarity, and understanding, a season where you are no longer driven by pain, but by direction, a season where you are no longer shaped by fear, but by wisdom, a season where you walk not to defend yourself, but to grow. Everything that refinement needed to do has already been done. Now it's time to live what was promised. The cycle is over, and your new phase has already begun.